Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Player Profiler Now. This is the Fantasy Lab, and I am your host, Aaron St. Denis, aka FFMadScientist, joined today by one of my favorites and the best, I think, Pat Fitzmaurice of Fantasy Pros, as you can see in the background. How's it going, Fitzy?
It's going great, Aaron. Always good to catch up with you. And I'm really looking forward to this. Always love talking to you, man. We always have fun together.
Yeah. You were, like I was just saying off screen, you were, I think, the first person I ever had on the show. You were also one of the first people I met at the expo in person. And good God, was I terrified. I'm going, that's Pat Fitzmaurice right there. I can't go talk to him. You couldn't have been nicer.
Well, I was probably drunk, so it makes perfect sense to me.
I think that's the only reason I had the courage to approach you. I was completely drunk. Before we get into sleeper breakouts and busts here for the Colts and Jags, what do you got going on right now? You just got to, what's up?
Oh, we are getting ready for our redraft draft kit at Fantasy Pros. So pumping a lot of work into that, trying to keep the rankings nice and spruced up and tidy for both redraft and Dynasty. Doing a lot of shows. I mean, the fun never ends at Fantasy Pros, Aaron. So, hopefully people check us out at fantasypros.com and check out the Fantasy Pros football podcast.
Yeah, the fun never ends. That's something I never understood when I started. I said, week 18 just hit. The fantasy season's over. I'm good till next September, right? No. They invented this degenerate thing called Dynasty, and then Scott Fishbowl, as you've seen coming out today. It's just, there's something every day of the year.
I know, man. I'm ready to hibernate after week 18. And there's always I swear the week after 18 is like the busiest week of the year. And it's really annoying.
I don't even want to watch the playoffs by the time they get here. I'm like, just call me when the combine gets here. All right, who we got in the chat? Hey guys, Harry Snowman, how's it going? Mark, and thank you, sir. We are going to get right into this. I need to take a deep breath. It's the Colts and the Jags. It's not pretty. We'll start with the Colts. All right, the QB situation. This is interesting. We've got Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, and Riley Leonard. If you cannot see on screen, we have their current rankings as per Fantasy Pros. QB 26, 170 overall for Richardson. QB 36, 315 overall for Daniel Jones. And Riley Leonard is going undrafted, the rookie. Good God, I feel like this is going to be a spot where if I miss on a QB, I might take a few dart throws. Like maybe in Scott Fishbowl, I might have one of these guys and just pray they win the job. What do you think here? Do you have a decent read on this?
First of all, Aaron, I just want to say it's awesome that we are dealing with two of the messiest teams for fantasy in the league. The whole AFC South is kind of a train wreck. I mean, it's just really hard to sort out. It's funny how quickly people are giving up on Anthony Richardson. And I see Harry Snowman here in the chat saying Daniel Jones is starting. And I totally get it. I'd probably make him the odds-on favorite too, but I'm just going to put this out there. So in Anthony Richardson's rookie season, he only played 4 games. We got just a little taste of what he could do. He scored 3 rushing touchdowns in those 4 games. And on a per snap basis, again, small sample size, 4 games, and I think he might have left one of those games early. He averaged more points on a per snap basis than Josh Allen, who was the quarterback 1 in fantasy scoring that year. And it wasn't close. Small sample size. Obviously, last year he was a train wreck. You can't complete fewer than 50% of your passes. But I will say this. It was really weird that his average intended air yards per target was 12.2. Just to put that into perspective, Baker Mayfield was at 7 yards. Tua was at a career low 5.7. And, naturally Tua completed 70% of his passes. Baker had a good completion percentage. Obviously, the farther the throws, the harder it is to complete passes. I don't know if that was the plan to just have Anthony Richardson really air it out like that, but I don't know if it's a good plan. So there's arm talent there. And I remember talking to Matt Waldman about him, when Richardson was coming out, and Richardson had talked to a guy who had coached, or Waldman had talked to a guy who'd coached Richardson and said, this guy is smart as far as chalkboard stuff and being able to diagnose defenses. So I don't want to give up on a dude who has this sort of rushing upside, and he is so dirt cheap right now. Not out of the question that he pops a little bit and wins this job at some. I'm just putting that out there. There's also a chance like he's just not good enough, and it is Daniel Jones most of the season, but I'm not quite ready to give up on A-Rich just yet.
Anthony Richardson's second year was so bad, and even to a lesser extent, CJ Stroud, that I'm literally gun shy for the sophomores this year. Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Drake May. I remember this time last year, even in Scott Fishbowl, I had the 4th overall pick, and I went with Anthony Richardson instead of Lamar Jackson. And I look back at it now, the point difference I would have had, I went out in the second round of the playoffs. I would have been probably top 50. The difference was hundreds of points. And I sit there and I go, I can't overthink it. These first year quarterbacks that just explode, they look so bad sometimes in their second year that it literally has me the low man on all the second year quarterbacks. As far as this room goes, I'm taking whoever's last. It's kind of what we do in crowded receiving rooms. Whoever goes latest, I'm going to take a shot at. I don't really want a whole lot of exposure to either. I don't want no exposure to either. I'm going to take some late shots and just hope that the team that really needs a quarterback is the one where I guess right. Ultimately, there could be no right answer, and it could be Riley Leonard. I don't know.
I know, and it's funny that everyone is talking Richardson, and it's like, okay, have we forgotten how many turnovers Daniel Jones typically commits? Like, this guy is a fumble and interception machine, except for the one good year under Brian Daboll where he had like the league best interception rate. But otherwise, he's just been a mess. So, yeah, I mean, this has a chance to be the most entertaining in kind of a train wreck way quarterback situation in the league.
Yeah, the Colts aren't giving up on him yet. 4th overall pick.
Good point.
Where did Jones go? He was a high pick too, was he not?
He was kind of towards the back end of the top 10, maybe what?
That's what I thought.
9th overall, something like that.
So I guess that draft capital only holds you so long.
Yes.
He's going to have a very short leash. Moving on to a little bit better, we've got the running back room here. Jonathan Taylor, RB6. Khalil Herbert, RB77. DJ Giddens, the rookie, RB65. Nothing to see here, just Jonathan Taylor. This looks like I guess they brought in Khalil Herbert to maybe give him a breather here, but this looks like it could be a heavy workload for Taylor. How do you read it?
Yeah, Herbert versus Giddens is going to be an interesting training camp battle, but we're really just talking about who's going to, be the insurance policy in case Taylor has ankle problems. And really, that's the only issue, I think, with Taylor, ankle problems. Like, he was indestructible in college at Wisconsin early in his career. Now, all of a sudden, he's had ankle issues the last few years. And, but man, when he's healthy, he is as good a pure runner as anyone in the game. The only problem, the only other problem besides the ankle issues, probably isn't going to catch a lot of passes in this offense. Like, that's never really been his thing. He didn't even catch many passes in college. And like with Anthony Richardson at quarterback, there just aren't many dump off passes. So pretty good bet that like Taylor is under 30 receptions this year. But as long as he's healthy, he is going to be among the league leaders in rushing yardage per game.
He's kind of going in a large group of running backs here on Fantasy Pros in the rankings. Like I said, you've got the top tier of Bijan, Barkley, Gibbs, Genty, Achane. I feel like that's where the safety ends, and that's at 5. After that, it gets scary. It's Henry, McCaffrey, Taylor, Jacobs, Irving, Kyron, Chase Brown, Breece Hall. There's not one player there where if you told me, like, some of the older guys or the injured guys, even, Bucky, if you told me they all fell off a cliff this year, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me they all finished as RB1, I also wouldn't be surprised. I feel like after pick 5, when Achane goes, that group gets really scary with red flags here, and that's where Taylor's at. How do you feel about that group?
Yeah, so I do have guys I like and dislike within that group. Like I'm worried about Breece Hall and the way that Aaron Glenn keeps talking about a committee. I'm hearing more Bucky Irving backlash lately, like people not that into Bucky Irving, but the dude led the league in like yardage after contact per carry, way up there in missed tackles forced. Like, he was really good. Seeing was believing for me. And, he pretty much by the end of the season had kicked Rachaad White to the curb. So I like him. But yeah, that's an interesting area of the draft. And I kind of agree with all those guys as being like not completely foolproof second rounders.
Yeah, like as far as Bucky goes, I think my argument is I'm just so anti keeping day one running backs after their rookie year. I love to they pop off. I'm going to flip them for another first round pick and invest in a better asset.
I get it.
It's such a risky spot that I guess you have Bucky, JT, even CMC, Derrick Henry. We've been saying this year is his last year, the year to hit the age cliff for 10 years, I feel like. So that's a spot where I'm hoping that's not my RB1 and I'm probably drafting receiver because that feels really scary.
Yes.
And on to really scary. The wide receivers that either Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones will be throwing to. I can't tell. The highest ranked one is wide receiver 47 for Josh Downs. Not a good sign. Wide receiver 53 for Pittman. Wide receiver 65 for Alec Pierce. And wide receiver 76 for Adonai Mitchell. This is a group where they seem like those are four guys who really could have some serious upside. Or they could also be flex plays or waiver wire options by the end of the season. This is a really ugly team, Pat. I don't know what to do with these guys. There's JT, and I don't feel confident in anyone.
No, I totally understand it, Aaron. Like, we've seen Pittman have a really good year, and he is still my favorite. I like him a little more than Downs, just because I don't know if Downs is going to be on the field that often when they're in two wide receiver sets. And, now that they have a credible tight end, maybe they play a little more 12 personnel with double tight ends. So, I'm not really in on Downs. I think there's a little bit of Jamison Crowder syndrome where everyone likes small slot receivers for some reason, but I don't see what the upside is for Downs. Hasn't scored many touchdowns. So I'm off of him. I'm mildly intrigued. If you're going to give me Pittman outside the top 50, I can have him as my fifth receiver in redraft, or if people are totally down on him in Dynasty, I'll take a shot. And then, Pierce is just the home run hitter. I think he has more value with Richardson than with Jones, since, Richardson seems to only throw deep. And Adonai Mitchell, it's just like they drafted this guy. He's really intriguing. He's big. He's fast, and he is just as blocked can be as the fourth receiver in a run-heavy offense with quarterback problems.
I can see the struggle and anguish on your face as you read through these, and you're going, nah, you're trying to convince yourself that maybe there's one guy I'm in. You almost sold yourself there that you were willing to be in on Pittman, but it was at cost.
Almost.
I typically, I know everyone's a little lower on Tyler Warren in the landing spot because the QB room is such a mess, but I look at this and there's Jonathan Taylor and not much else that's guaranteed. There's a pathway where Warren, I get he could end up being the fourth target on the team. He could lead the team in targets and be Trey McBride. Is there anyone here where you look and say, oh yeah, there's no way Tyler Warren's going to get more targets? It's wide open for receiving options for whoever gets to be the quarterback here.
Yeah, and that's the other reason I would caution people against investing in Josh Downs, because Tyler Warren is going to take a lot of those short area targets. And Tyler Warren, I don't love that he's an older prospect. For Dynasty, I did like Colston Loveland more, but Tyler Warren is this guy who's like George Kittle in that when he has the ball in his hands, he is really hard to tackle because he is just angry and wants to dish out punishment. And the other thing about him, Aaron, Tyler Warren had over 200 rushing yards at Penn State last fall and 4 touchdown runs. And he's also a former high school quarterback. There are multiple ways for this guy to get some sneaky fantasy value in addition to whatever he can get receiving. And I know some people are going to be totally off him because of the quarterback situation, but I wouldn't be surprised if he through all these through his resourcefulness, added some rushing value maybe even threw a touchdown pass or something, and wound up as like a sneaky back end tight end one. Not totally out of the question, but like I understand the hesitation with investing in him.
All right, so you've completed a draft and you've got Tyler Warren and somehow managed to get insert your favorite Colts receiver here. Once you've seen that, who are you praying is the week 1 starter? Is it Richardson, Jones, Leonard? If you've got them on your team, who do you want?
Man, I guess if I have a pass catcher, I probably want Daniel Jones. He's been the more competent passer so far.
The way you started, that should tell you all you need to know about the prospects either way. Just, man. All right, this is going to be something here. Colts, sleeper, a breakout, and a bust. Yikes.
All right.
Sleeper, a quarterback, I guess. Whoever
yep.
wins the job.
I'm gonna say Anthony Richardson as the sleeper because we got a taste of the potential fantasy value in his rookie year, and last year was just so hideous. Everyone is off him, so he truly is a sleeper. I mean, look at that ADP QB 26. Breakout, I'll say Tyler Warren.
Too.
Like he's got the talent to do it, and again, there's more than one way, more than one path to fantasy value for him. And a bust.
It has to be Jonathan Taylor, right? Nobody else is high enough to be a bust.
Yeah, and I guess the ankle issues could be him. I mean, I want to say Josh Downs, but like, who else could it be but Taylor, I guess?
Yeah, one's at RB6, and I mean, Tyler Warren's the next highest drafted. Well, I guess it is Josh Downs at 121. So
right.
All right. Before we head over to the Jaguars, let's take a second here to hear from my friend, the Podfather.
Oh, the Breakout Finder is live. That's right. A lot of breakout models out there, but we started it all. The best and brightest minds coming up with the definitive breakout probabilities for running backs, wide receivers in this rookie class. It's $5 to download the wide receiver breakouts, the running back breakouts, but also proprietary stats available only on the Breakout Finder, including dynamic score for wide receivers, teammate score, level of competition. You can access the full stat database, plus many advanced metrics from Player Profiler, all there, right there on your phone, in the App Store, on Google Play. And that 2025 class is live.
That man has a level of enthusiasm I'm not sure I can match for this. You thought the Colts was ugly? This gets messy. All right, so we've got the QB room of Trevor Lawrence and Nick Mullins, and it's so bad that I have Travis Etienne in a typo listed as the QB3. That's saying something there. But anyway, so we've got Lawrence going QB 19 and Nick Mullins as the backup. What do you think here? I know there's a lot of receiver hype for Thomas and Hunter, and everyone's thinking maybe Lawrence is going to make a comeback here and prove to be valuable again. Are you back in on Lawrence, or are you just washing your hands on him?
I am hesitantly back in on him, Aaron. So I guess I feel like if he was going to have Joe Burrow type upside, if he was going to be, another Josh Allen type, like we would have seen that by now. I think the upside is Justin Herbert at this point, where, Justin Herbert, really good player. Maybe there are some limitations on Herbert in terms of fantasy value because of the offense in which he plays. Lawrence maybe doesn't have those limitations, so I could see him having a better season than Justin Herbert. I just want to see him display the sort of competency that Herbert has. And he hasn't been a train wreck. He hasn't been Anthony Richardson completing fewer than 50% of his passes. But this wasn't what we were looking for when Trevor Lawrence was the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
That's exactly what I want to hear with you selling me Trevor Lawrence. He hasn't been a train wreck. That's inspirational.
Yeah, I know. Try to control your enthusiasm.
I'm right back in. And on that note, let's move to the running backs, where it's kind of interesting. I know the rankings here have Tootin as the lowest, but that hasn't been the case in a lot of the drafts I've seen. Tootin's been going either before or with ETN. They've also got Bigsby. I see lots of times where the rookie running back walks in and just becomes the every down starter. This doesn't necessarily project to be one of those for me. I think this could be an ugly, timeshare here where they all get work. what's your read here? You think ETN's just washed, like they say, and it's going to be all Bayshall Tootin and his blazing speed, or are we overhyping the combine 40 time?
Yeah, is this the messiest backfield in the league, Aaron? Would you say is there one worse than this? Like I can't see one.
There may not be a single good running back, or there may be three. I don't know. This one's a tough one to read. That's why I ask. Like I said, I think this is going to be a three-headed monster here, and the only way we're going to get a viable running back out of it is if someone gets hurt.
Yeah. So let's start at the top. It was 2023, and Travis Etienne was clipping along at about 20 PPR fantasy points per game for the first half of the season. Then it like kind of slowed down in the second half. He was averaging like about 13 PPR fantasy points per game. And then last year, I don't know what happened to Travis Etienne, but like his stats were just terrible across the board. And the advanced stats, like missed tackles forced, way down. Yardage after contact per carry, way down. In terms of rushing yards over expected per carry, he had a negative number. He earned fewer rushing yards than were expected. And like Tank Bigsby crushed him in that area. I think Bigsby was top 10 in rushing yards per carry over expected. So Bigsby was actually pretty good at his job last year. It's just that Tank doesn't catch any passes. So that really kind of puts a cap on his fantasy value. Now along comes Bayshall Tootin, who, his calling card even before the combine was speed, and that explosiveness just popped on tape. And then he goes out and blazes a ridiculous 40 time at combine, and everyone is totally in on him. And now he's the handpicked guy for the Jaguars. ETN has 1 year left on his deal. They're probably going to let him walk, I would think. And, Tootin is the future for this team. How soon is the future? Is the future right away? Do they just kind of shelve ETN and let Tootin take his job right away? The thing is, Tootin is small. Like, he does need a tag team partner. I think he's going to be a part of a committee probably for most of his career. Unless he just turns out to be some, I know. Well, I was like Tiki Barber type, but I don't see that happening. So, I think Bigsby probably has a safe role, but there's a limited upside because of his lack of pass catching. And then how things work out with ETN and Tootin is really hard to tell. But, right now I think I've got ETN ranked a smidge higher, and I don't feel great about that at all.
Is this just the ultimate case for draft whoever goes the latest?
It is. And I mean, look at those ADPs, Aaron. Like, if you drafted one of those guys, he didn't fire at all, and you had to waive him after week 3, would you be that crushed?
No.
I mean, like,
90 for Bigsby.
The buy-in is so low. Like, you don't even care if you have to waive one of these guys in season.
All right, let's get to something a little more exciting. We've got the receiving core here. Brian Thomas Jr. going as wide receiver 6, rookie Travis Hunter, wide receiver 29, De'Ami Brown 103, Parker Washington 104. Obviously, this seems to be a BTJ Hunter situation here. What's your read? You thinking Hunter's going to be, sounds like he's going to be full-time receiver and, a much smaller role on defense, but, is he going to play in full-time enough on offense to cut into BTJ? How much is he going to hurt BTJ? Will it matter? What's your read here as I attempt to screw with my graphics here and get them updated on the fly? Yeah,
I have been no fun when talking about Travis Hunter because I'm really kind of scared of the defensive angle. Yeah. I didn't want to take him ahead of Tet in rookie drafts in Dynasty because of the possibility that at some point in his career, maybe early in his career, the Jaguars decide, you know what, I think he should be a cornerback first and a part-time receiver. And like, no one can give you fantasy value if they're playing a 30% snap share at wide receiver. And the thing is, even this year, Aaron, if they are playing Travis Hunter a little bit on defense, so the Harry Snowman says maybe he'll play in dime. And it's possible it's that way. The thing is, though, if you're playing this guy in defense at all, like, I don't think they want to pile up the snap counts the way they did at Colorado with Travis Hunter. So I don't think he's going to be playing like 90% plus snap shares like the top receivers do. CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, those guys. Like I kind of think he's going to be more of a 70-75% snap share guy. And that kind of eats away at his fantasy value at the margins. And the other thing I would push back on with the Harry Snowman, like look at the Jaguars depth chart at cornerback, man. It is not pretty. And if you've got some wide receiver who is just tearing your defense apart, how tempting is it going to be when you know Travis Hunter is your best pure cover man to keep him parked on the bench and not give him a lot of snaps when some like elite wide receiver is just kicking your defense's ass. So that's why I'm a little worried about Travis Hunter, to be totally honest with you. Talented dude. I don't care about like the OTA videos of him running a bad route or body catching or whatever. Like that's not the concern. My concern is the defense, offense, two-way thing.
So then, having said that about Hunter, is BTJ a value for you? I know it's tough at wide receiver 6 overall, but
yeah, monster. Not even afraid of him. I mean, he just looked like a superstar in his rookie year, and I think we even forget that. And now I can't remember what the injury was, ribs or something, where he toughed it out kind of like November or something. I can't remember the timetable on that, but like he could have maybe sat in those games and instead he kept playing and was fantastic. Like he was just, I don't know, like, and I was not high on Thomas coming out of LSU. I wondered if he was maybe just a product of like being the other receiver with Malik Neighbors getting all the defensive attention. Nope. Brian Thomas is awesome. And, I'm mad at myself that I totally missed out on him in rookie drafts in Dynasty.
I can tell you one player you're not going to be drafting in this year's Scott Fishbowl, and that's going to be Travis Hunter, because it looks like they've given him IDP scoring to be one of the only players who can double dip. And that means he's going to go even higher than wide receiver 29 in that format. And you're going to have none of them from the sound of it.
Interesting. Yeah. But then again, if you get the IDP points, why not?
All right. And we'll wrap it up here with the tight ends. We have Brenton Strange, tight end 27, Johnny Munt, undrafted. I have some interest here in Strange. I thought he looked good in some of the games last year. Evan Ingram's moved on. I think there's some sleeper potential here, and I think that's who my pick will be. What do you think of Strange?
Yeah, so I think Evan Ingram missed 8 games last year. And in those 8 games, Strange averaged 3.6 receptions per game, prorated over a 17-game season. That works out to like 61 receptions. Last year, Strange did average under 10 yards per catch. You'd like to see him get that up a little, make some more explosive plays. But if you get 61 catches, you are probably in low-end, tight end 1 territory at least. So, he's an interesting sleeper for sure.
Yeah, I don't love it, but like you said, the bar is so low here that, 60 catches could put him in top 8, 10 territory here. All right, let's wrap up the Jags, as exciting as they are. Who do you got for a sleeper? Like I said, I think I went for, I don't know, maybe not Strange. Maybe it'll be Bigsby as my running back sleeper here, and just hope that I pick the right one out of the trio. Who do you have?
I'm a fraidy cat, Aaron. I'm staying away from the backfield with any of these picks, and I'm going to go with Brenton Strange as my sleeper.
Okay. You didn't sound very, very high on Brenton Strange, but I guess that tells you how ugly this is. Breakout. Who we got for a breakout? Maybe here, Bigsby or Tootin?
Finally, Trevor Lawrence, because we can say that he hasn't really broken out yet, right? So let's say he breaks out and has a quarterback 1 season, maybe low-end quarterback 1, but I think that would qualify as a breakout for T-Law.
Yeah, either way, maybe it's a re-breakout, so we'll allow it. And your bust, who's that?
I'm going to be the killjoy and say Travis Hunter.
That's who I knew you were going to say. I agree fully. Like I said, he's wide receiver 29 right now. I think that's going to get higher. And if you're in Scott Fishbowl, he might be a 2nd or 3rd round pick, because they're just going to go insane, because he's the only one who's going to be able to get IDP and offensive points. So,
oh man, yeah, I'm probably out. You're right, Aaron.
I am as well. All right. Well, thank you for looking at those 2 splendid teams, the Colts and Jags. Before we get out of here, Got anything else you want to promote or drop before we leave?
No, that's it. And the Dynasty enthusiasts, and I know all the Player Profiler fans are big Dynasty people. Check us out on the Dynasty, the Fantasy Pros Dynasty podcast.
Harry Snowman is not happy with us and our fade of Travis Hunter, but it happens. All right, thank you for checking in on this week's episode of Sleepers, Breakouts, and Busts. We had the Colts and the Jags with Pat Fitzmaurice of Fantasy Pros. I am Aaron St. Denis, and this has been the Fantasy Lab on Player Profiler Now. Thank you all for joining. Take care and have a great night. Thanks again, Fitzy, for joining.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.